I'll read little less one only.
Yeah, then
So
I think
Anjali will
youth
take
will
up
be.
the philosopher and let Deepa take the youth part so that she don't have to read much.
Okay, okay, done.
Okay, yeah, you can start.
The fourth night, where the center of the word is. That was close. I almost fell for it. The following week, the young man called on the philosopher again and with an indignant expression knocked on the door. The idea of separating tasks is certainly a useful one. You had me completely convinced last time, but it seems like such a lonely way to live. Separating the task and lightening the load of one's interpersonal relations is just the same as cutting one's connection to other people. And to top it off, you are telling me to be disliked by other people. If that's what you call freedom, then I'll choose not to be free. Individual psychology and holism. Well, you are looking rather gloomy today.
You are, since we had met. I've been thinking calmly and carefully about something it's hidden there of tasks and about freedom. I waited until my emotions had settled and then applied my reasoning mind. But the separation of tasks just doesn't seem realistic.
Hmm. Okay, please go on.
Separating tasks is basically an idea that boils down to defining a boundary and saying, I am I and you are you. Surely, one second, there are probably fewer interpersonal relationships problem that way. But would you really say that such a way of life is right? To me, it just seems like an extremely self centered, misguided individualism. On my first visit here, you told me that Alderian philosophy, psychology, is formally referred to as individual psychology. That term has been bothering me for quite a while, but I finally figured out why. What you are telling at Larian psychology or individual psychology is essentially the study of an individualism that leads people into isolation.
It is true that the term individual psychology, which Adler coined, has certain aspects that may invite misunderstanding. I will explain what I mean now. First of all, etymologically speaking, the word individual has the meaning indivisible.
Indivisible?
Yes, in other words, it is the smallest possible unit and therefore cannot be broken down any further. Now, what is it exactly that cannot be divided? Adler was opposed to any kind of dualistic value system that treated the mind as separate from the body, reason as separate from emotion, or the conscious mind as separate from the unconscious mind.
What's the point of that?
For example, do you remember the story about the female student who came to me for counseling on account of her fear of blushing? Why did she develop that fear of blushing? In Adlerian psychology, physical symptoms are not regarded separately from the mind, psyche. The mind and body are viewed as one, as a whole that cannot be divided into parts. Tension in the mind can make one's arms and legs shake or cause one's cheek to turn red, and fear can make one's face turn white, and so on.
Well, sure, there are parts of the mind and body that are connected.
The same holds true for reason and emotion. and the conscious mind and the unconscious mind as well. A normally cool headed person doesn't expect to have a fit of violent emotion and start shouting at someone. We are not struck by emotions that somehow exist independently from us. Each of us is a unified whole.
No, that is not true. It is precisely because we have the ability to view mind and body, reason and emotion, and the conscious and the unconscious mind as clearly separate from each other that we gain a correct understanding of people. Isn't that a given?
Certainly, it is true that the mind and body are separate things, that reason and emotion are different, and that both the conscious mind and the unconscious mind exist. That said, however, when one flies into a rage and shouts at another person, it is I as a whole who is choosing to shout. One would never think of emotions that somehow exist independently, unrelated to one's intentions, as it were, as having produced that shouting voice. When one separates the I from emotion and thinks it was the emotion that made me do it, or the emotion got the best of me and I couldn't help it, such thinking quickly becomes a life lie.
You're referring to the time I yelled at the waiter, aren't you?
Yes, this view of the human being as I as a whole, as an indivisible being that cannot be broken down into parts, is referred to as holism.
Well, that's fine. But I wasn't asking you for an academic theory to provide a definition of individual. Look, if you take Adlerian psychology to its logical conclusion, it's basically saying, I am I and you are you, and leading people toward isolation. It's saying, I won't interfere with you, so you don't interfere with me either, and we'll both go on living however we please. Please tell me straightforwardly what your awareness is of that point.
All right. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. You have an understanding of this basic tenet of Adlerian psychology, correct?
Yes, I do. The idea of non interference in interpersonal relations. That is to say, the separation of tasks probably came about as a way to resolve those problems.
This is something I believe I went over last time, that forming good interpersonal relationships require a certain degree of distance. At the same time, people who get too close end up not even being able to speak to each other. So it is not good to get too far apart either. Please do not think of the separation of task as something that is meant to keep other people away. Instead, see it as a way of thinking with which to unravel the threads of the complex entanglement of one's interpersonal relations.
To unravel the threads?
Exactly. Right now, your threads and other people's threads are all tangled up in a confused mess, and you are looking at the world while in that condition. Red, blue, brown, and green, all the colors mixing together. You think of it as a connection, but it is not.
So then, what do you think connection is?
Last time, I spoke of the separation of tasks as a prescription for resolving interpersonal relationship problem. But interpersonal relationships are not something that end just because one has separated the task. The separating of task is actually the point of departure for interpersonal relations. Today, let's take the discussion deeper and address how interpersonal relations as a whole are viewed in Adlerian psychology and consider the kind of relationships we should form with others. Yes.
Next chapter, huh? The goal of interpersonal relations. Would anyone like to take over?
Yeah, I can take over. Anyone else wants to read? Suman,
Thank you.
would you like to read?
Yes, if you want, you may go ahead, please. Otherwise, I'll
No,
do.
you better go because I don't have a clear voice today. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
If you can't, I can take up. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you, or you want me to do it?
Pardon?
If you're comfortable, you take up. If not, I'll take it up.
No, I can do. Yes.
Go on.
So I have to read which part? Youth?
Yes.
Okay. The goal of interpersonal relationships is a feeling of community. Okay, I have a question. Please give me a simple answer that gets straight to the heart of the matter. You said that separating of tasks is the point of departure for interpersonal relations. Well, what is the goal of interpersonal relations?
To get straight to the heart of the matter, it is community feeling.
Community feeling.
Yes, this is a key concept in Adlerian psychology, and views on its application have been the subject of much debate. In fact, Adler's proposal of the concept of community feeling drove many people to part ways with him.
Well, it sounds fascinating to me. What is this concept?
It was the time before last, I believe, that I brought up the matter of how one sees others, that is, as enemies or as comrades. Now, take that a step deeper. If other people are our comrades and we live surrounded by them, we should be able to find in that life our own place of refuge. Moreover, in doing so, we should begin to have the desire to share with our comrades to contribute to the community. This sense of others as comrades, this awareness of having one's own refuge is called community feeling.
But what part of this is open to debate? It seems like a completely irrefutable point.
The issue is community. What does it consist of? When you hear the word community, what image come to mind?
There are such frameworks as one's household, school, workplace, or local society.
When Adler refers to community, he goes beyond the household, school, workplace, and local society and treats it as all inclusive, covering not only nations and all of humanity, but also the entire axis of time from the past to the future. And he includes plants and animals and even inanimate objects.
Oh,
In other words, he is espousing that community is not merely one of the pre existing frameworks that the word might bring to mind, but is also inclusive of literally everything, the entire universe from the past to the future.
no way. Now you have lost me. The universe, past and future, what on earth are you talking about?
The majority of those who hear this have similar doubts. This is not something one can comprehend immediately. Adler himself acknowledged that the community he was espousing was an unattainable ideal.
Haha. Well, that's perplexing, isn't it? How about the other way around then? Do you really comprehend and accept this community feeling or whatever it is that includes the entire universe?
I try to, because I feel that one cannot truly comprehend Adlerian psychology without comprehending this point.
Okay, then.
As I have been saying all along, Adlerian psychology has the view that all problems are interpersonal relationship problems. Interpersonal relations are the source of unhappiness, and the opposite can be said too. Interpersonal relations are the source of happiness.
Indeed.
Furthermore, community feeling is the most important index for considering a state of interpersonal relations that is happy.
All right. I would like to hear all about it.
Community feeling is also referred to as social interest, that is to say, interest in society. So now I have a question for you. Do you know what society's smallest unit is from the point of view of sociology?
Society's smallest unit, who? I'd say the family.
No, it is you and I. When there are two people, society emerges in their presence and community emerges there too. To gain an understanding of the community feeling that Adler speaks of, it is advisable to use you and I as the starting point.
And what do you do with that as the starting point?
You make the switch from attachment to self interest, to concern for others, social interest.
Attachment to self, concern for others. What's all that about?
Okay.
Now is a new part starting, so be more attentive. Go on.
Why am I only interested in myself? Well, let's consider this concretely. For purposes of clarity, in place of attachment to self, I will use the word self-centered. In your view, someone who is self-centered is what sort of person?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the kind of person who is like a tyrant, someone who is domineering, has no qualms about being a nuisance to others, and thinks only about things that are to his own advantage. He thinks that the world revolves around him, and he behaves like a dictator who rules by absolute authority and force. He's the kind of person who creates an enormous amount of trouble for everyone around him. Someone who is just like Shakespeare, King Lear, a typical tyrant.
I see.
On the other hand, he would not necessarily be a tyrant. One might speak of the sort of person who disturbs the harmony of a group as self centered too. He is someone who can't operate in a group and prefers to act alone. He never stops to reflect on his actions, even when he is late for appointments or fails to keep his promises. In a word, he is an egotist.
To be sure, that is the kind of image that generally comes to mind when thinking of self-centered people. But there is another type that must be taken into account. People who are incapable of carrying out the separation of tasks and who are obsessed with the desire for recognition are also extremely self-centered.
Why is that?
Consider the reality of the desire for recognition. How much do others pay attention to you, and what is their judgment for you? That is to say, how much do they satisfy your desire? People who are obsessed with such a desire for recognition will seem to be looking at other people, while they are actually looking only at themselves. They lack concern for others and are concerned solely with the I. Simply put, they are self-centered.
So, would you say that people like me who fear being judged by others are self centered too? Even though I try so hard to be mindful of others and adjust myself to them.
Yes, in the sense that you are concerned solely with the I, you are self-centered. You want to be thought well by others, and that is why you are worried about the way they look at you. That is not concern for others. It is nothing but attachment to self.
But
This is something I spoke of last time. The fact that there are people who do not think well of you is proof that you are living in freedom. You might have a sense of something about this that seems self-centered, but I think you have understood this from today's discussion. A way of living in which one is constantly troubled by how one is seen by others is a self-centered lifestyle in which one's sole concern is with the I.
well, now that is an astounding statement.
Not just you, but all people who are attached to the I are self-centered. And that is precisely why it is necessary to make the switch from attachment to self to concern for others.
Okay, so yes, it is true that I am always looking only at myself. that I acknowledge. I am constantly worried about how other people see me, but not about how I see them. If you are saying I am self centered, there is nothing that I can say to refute that. But think about it like this: if my life were a feature length movie, the protagonist would certainly be this I, would not it? Is pointing the camera at the protagonist really such a reprehensible thing?
Interesting. Mm. You are not the center of the world. Let's go over things in order. First of all, each of us is a member of a community, and that is where we belong. Feeling that one has one's own place of refuge within the community, feeling that it's okay to be here, and having a sense of belonging, these are basic human desires. Whether it is one's studies, work, or friendship, or one's love or marriage, all these things are connected to one's search for places and relationships in which we can feel it's okay to be here. Wouldn't you agree?
Ah, yes, I do. That is it exactly.
And the protagonist in one's life is the I. There is nothing wrong with the train of thought up to this point, but the I does not rule the center of the word. While the I is life's protagonist, it is never more than a member of the community and a part of the whole.
Part of the whole?
People who have concern only for themselves think that they are at the center of the world. To such people, others are merely people who will do something for me. They half genuinely believe that everyone else exists to serve them and should give precedence to their feelings.
Just like a prince or princess.
Yes, exactly. They make a leap from being life's protagonist to becoming the world's protagonist. For this reason, whenever they come into contact with another person, all they can think is, what will this person give me? However, and this is something that does not hold true for princess and princesses, this expectation is not going to be satisfied on every occasion because other people are not living to satisfy your expectations.
Indeed.
Then, when those expectations are not satisfied, they become deeply disillusioned and feel as if they have been horribly insulted. And they become resentful and think, that person didn't do anything for me. That person let me down. That person isn't my comrade anymore. He is my enemy. People who hold the belief that they are the center of the world always end up losing their comrades before long.
That's strange. Didn't you say that we are living in a subjective world? As long as the world is a subjective place, I am the only one who can be at its center. I won't let anyone else be there.
I think that when you speak of the word, what you have in mind is something like a map of the world.
Map of the world? What are you talking about?
For example, on the map of the world used in France, the Americas are located on the left side and Asia is on the right. Europe and France are depicted at the center of the map, of course. The map of the world used in China, on the other hand, shows the Americas on the right side and Europe on the left. French people who see the Chinese map of the world will most likely experience a difficult to describe sense of incongruity or as if they have been driven unjustly to the fringes or cut out of the world arbitrarily.
Yes, I see your point.
But what happens when a globe is used to represent the world? Because with a globe, you can look at the world with France at the center, or China or Brazil for that matter. Every place is central and no place is at the same time. Sorry. Every place is central and no place is at the same time. The globe may be dotted with an infinite number of centers in accordance with the viewer's location and angle of view. That is the nature of a globe.
That is true.
Think of what I said earlier. that you are not the center of the world as being the same thing. You are a part of a community, not its center.
I am not the center of the world. Our world is a globe, not a map that has been cut out on a plane. Well, I can understand that in theory. Anyway, but why do I have to be aware of the fact that I am not the center of the world?
Now we will go back to where we started. All of us are searching for the sense of belonging, that it's okay to be here. In Adelaidean psychology, however, a sense of belonging is something that one can attain only by making an active commitment to the community of one's own accord and not simply by being here.
By making an active commitment, what does one do exactly?
One faces one's life tasks. In other words, one takes steps forward on one's own without avoiding the task of the interpersonal relations of work, friendship, and love. If you are the center of the world, you will have no thoughts whatsoever regarding commitment to the community because everyone else is someone who will do something for me. And there is no need for you to do things yourself. But you are not the center of the world, and neither am I. One has to stand on one's own 2 feet and take one's own steps forward with the task of interpersonal relations. One needs to think not, what will this person give me, but rather, what can I give to this person? That is commitment to the community.
It is because one gives something that one can find one's refuge.
That's right. A sense of belonging is something that one acquires through one's own efforts. It is not something one is endowed with at birth. Community feeling is the much debated key concept of Adelaidean psychology.
It was certainly a concept that the young man found difficult to accept at first, and naturally it upset him to be told he was self centered. But what he found hardest to accept was the incredible extent of that community, which included the universe and inanimate objects. What were Adler and this philosopher talking about anyway? With a bewildered expression, the young man slowly opened his mouth to speak. Listen to the voice of a larger community. Youth, I must admit, you are starting to lose me. Let me try to straighten things out a bit. First, at the gateway of interpersonal relations, we have got the separation of tasks. And as the goal, there is community feeling. And you are saying that community feeling is having a sense of others as comrades and an awareness of having one's own refuge within the community. Up to this point, it is something I can understand and accept, but the details still seem a bit far fetched. For one thing, what do you mean by expanding this thing you call community to include the entire universe, and then even the past and the future, and everything from living things to inanimate objects?
It certainly does make things more difficult to understand if one takes Adler's concept of community literally and tries to actually imagine it including the universe and inanimate objects. For the time being, suffices to say that suffice it to say that the scope of community is infinite.
Infinite?
Take, for example, a man on reaching retirement age and stopping work quickly loses his vitality and becomes depressed, abruptly cut off from the company that was his community and bereft of title for or profession, he becomes an ordinary nobody. As he is unable to accept the fact that he is now normal, he becomes old practically overnight. But all that really happened to the man is that he was cut off from the small community that is his company. Each person belongs to a separate community. And when it comes down to it, all of us belongs to the community of the earth and the community of the universe.
That is pure sophistry to suddenly come out with you belong to the universe as if that could give someone a sense of belonging.
It's true. There is no way one can just imagine the entire universe all of a sudden. Even so, I would like you to gain the awareness that you belong to a separate, larger community that is beyond the one you see in your immediate vicinity. For example, the country or local society in which you live, and that you are contributing in some way within that community.
Then what about in a situation like this? Say there is a guy who is unmarried, who has lost his job and his friends, and who avoids the company of other people and just lives off the. Mansi, scroll up, please. Money with his parents left him. So he is basically running away from all the tasks of work and tasks of friendship and tasks of love. Would you say that even a guy like that belongs to some sort of community?
Of course, say he goes out to buy a loaf of bread, he pays for it with a coin. That coin does not simply go back to the bakers of the bread. It goes to the producers of flour and butter, to the people who deliver those ingredients, to the purveyors of the gasoline used by the delivery vehicles, to people in the oil producing countries where that fuel comes from, and so on. So it's all connected. People are never truly alone or separate from community and cannot be.
So you are saying I should fantasize more when I buy bread?
It is not fantasy, it is fact. The community Adler speaks of goes beyond things we can see, like our households and societies, to include those connections that we cannot see.
Excuse me for saying so, but you are escaping into abstract theory. The issue we should be addressing here is the sense of belonging, that it is okay to be here. And then, with regard to the meaning of this sense of belonging, it is the community we can see that is stronger. You will agree with that, won't you? For example, if we compare the company community with the earth community, the sense of belonging of someone who says, I am a member of this company would be stronger. To borrow your terminology, the distance and depth of the interpersonal relations are completely different. It is only natural that when we search for a sense of belonging, we will be attracted to the smaller community.
That is a perspective observation. So let's start thinking about why we should be aware of multiple and larger communities. As I stated earlier, all of us belong to multiple communities. We belong to our households, our schools, our workplaces, and the local societies and the countries in which we live. This far you agree, yes?
Yes, I do.
Mansi, please scroll. Well, suppose that you as a student regarded the community, that is school, as absolute. In other words, school is everything to you. Your I exist because of school and no other I is possible without it. But naturally, there will be occasions within that community when you run into adversity. It could be getting bullied, or not being able to make friends, or not keeping up with your schoolwork, or not adapting to the system of the school in the first place. That is to say, it's possible that with regard to the community, that is your school, you won't have that it's okay to be here sense of belonging.
Yes, absolutely. That is quite possible.
When that happens, if you are thinking of school as being everything to you will end up without a sense of belonging to anything. And then you will escape within a smaller community, such as your home. You will shut yourself in and maybe even turn to violence against members of your own family. And by doing such things, you will be attempting to gain a sense of belonging somehow. What I would like you to focus on here, though, is that there is a more separate community, and moreover, that there is a larger community.
What does that mean?
That there is a larger world that extends far beyond the confines of the school, and every one of us is a member of that world. If there is no place of refuge in your school, you should find a different refuge outside the walls of the school. You can change schools, and it's fine to withdraw from one school too. A community that you can break relations with by simply submitting a withdrawal notice is one that you can have only so much connection to in any case. Once you know how big the world is, you will see that all the hardship you went through in school was a storm in a teacup. The moment you leave the teacup, that raging storm will be gone, and a gentle breeze will greet you in its place.
Are you saying that as long as you keep yourself shut up inside the teacup, you will never stand a chance outside it? Mansi, scroll up, please.
Secluding yourself in the room is akin to staying in the teacup, as if you are hunkering down in a small shelter. You might be able to wait out the rain for a short while, but the storm will continue unabated.
Well, maybe in theory anyway, but it is hard to break out. The decision to withdraw from school itself isn't something to be taken lightly.
I am sure you are right. It would not be easy. Therefore, there is a principle of action that I would like you to commit to memory. When we run into difficulties in our interpersonal relations, or when we can no longer see a way out, what we should consider first and foremost is the principle that says, listen to the voice of the larger community.
The voice of the larger community.
If it is a school, one does not judge things with the common sense of the community, that is the school, but instead follows the common sense of a larger community. Now, let's say it's your school and your teacher has been behaving in an authoritarian manner, but the power or authority your teacher wields are nothing more than an aspect of the common sense that operates only within the small community that is the school. From that standpoint of the community, that is human society, both you and your teacher are equal humans. If unreasonable demands are being thrust on you, it is fine to object to them directly.
But it will be very difficult to object when the teacher is right in front of me.
Not at all, though this might be termed as you and I relationship if it is one that can break down just because you raise an objection. Then it is not the sort of relationship you need to get into in the first place. It is fine to just let go of it, living in fear of one's relationships falling apart is an unfree way to live, in which one is living for other people.
You are saying to choose freedom at the same time that I have community feeling.
Yes, of course. Do not clinch to the small community right in front of you. There will always be more you and I and more everyone and larger communities that exist.
Don't rebuke or praise.
Anybody
Do
else
you want
wants
to
to?
read this? Or we want to stop? Just give me a minute. I'll check how
Yes,
much is there.
Mansi, actually, we had read till now we have read. This chapter
Yeah.
was completed.
This part we completed.
Yeah,
Even this one we completed or what?
yeah. Actually, I had in
Oh.
mind that community
Meaning.
discussion was going on, but
Even I was remembering that this is a red part, not all of it, but some of the parts. Do
yes,
not rebuke or praise this. This we want to read, or we want to keep it for tomorrow. Let's keep it for tomorrow.
okay,
And then the encouragement approach. Yeah, there are still many chapters, no?
yes.
Yeah, I'll just bookmark it and keep today. So yeah. So let's open up for discussion because it's already 7:50. So we'll discuss. We already discussed already, na?
Yeah,
Last time
yeah,
lot
yeah,
about
yeah.
maybe schooling and all. We can talk
Even
about other
detailed
things.
discussion was there regarding community feeling.
Yes, 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 yeah. Anyone else who wants to talk? Anjali, you have any perspectives or whatever? Deepa was not there, so whoever was not there and would want to add, or even who were there also and you want to add something, please feel free. Something different one from what we already spoke about.
Yeah, so actually, as you have already discussed over the community, I won't talk anything about it. But yeah, I like that the map of the word, now, when we are seeing ourselves. So many times, we always tend to see at ourselves at the center, and we, yes, that self-centeredness, as he has explained, even expecting from others that they would do anything for me is also being self-centered. Or earlier, like I would say that thinking about myself, how I am growing, or how I what I like, or what are things what I think is being self-centered. But this is another perception that when we expect something from the others, that is also being self-centered. We are looking only for our gain, our things, our personal liking and everything to be like, when we expect others to understand those things, that is also being self-centered. And another thing what I liked was the map of the world, that how he has explained with the countries and with the globe, that about China would think that they have been left to the fringes and they are all cut off from the world. If they keep themselves in the centers, it will be like, so that is a very well good explanation. I think that we have studied in NLP as well, but this is, I found this was really very detailed explanation, and it clicked to me. Throughout the reading, it was going around in my mind also, that it is such a good example to understand how we are placing ourselves in the center. So it should not be done, because everyone is at the center of the globe. It is not a flat thing, it is a word that is going around, and yeah, everyone is at the center. So everyone is equal. That's all.
Yeah, very true. The root cause of the problem is when I think I am the center of the world and what all others can do for me. Instead, the community feeling is actually that what I can do for others. That is the true spirit.
Yes, see, in our society also, if we see, all the roles are divided. In the family, all the roles are divided. And that is how a community works. Even a family is a community where everyone is contributing to that community. Everyone has their own role. So in smaller, everywhere, like from smaller unit to the bigger unit, on the country level, on the world level, everywhere, somewhere we unite. When the people are going, when the astronauts are achieving something, everyone together they applaud. So as a word, we are working as a community, as a word. But on the country level, on the society level, on the family level, also we are also communities only. So if we get that feeling that we have a role, we have a particular responsibility to be taken care of, so it will give that feeling of community. And generally, when we start thinking of I as a single unit, it doesn't work well, and relationship problems arise. So that's it. So community is everywhere. Only the word changes. Sometimes it
Yeah,
is
very true.
family, yeah, sometimes it is country, sometimes it is a local area also. People fight, people have their different perspective, even on the religion base also they have that. So it happens.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Anyone else wants to add something? So I remember this one thing which I just watched in one of the TV serial. So it was a Marathi. So basically, it was a conversation between Shivaji Maharaj and his son Sambhaji. So it was a historical like a pic. So I he when the father was guiding the son in a way like Shivaji was guiding Sambhaji that uh, what happens in the so the core of the message was that whatever happens within is expressed outside, and then that happens in the family. between two people and between the family. What happens in the family, like whatever values are embedded in the family or whatever, they are the values that are that are mostly aligned with the society, with the neighborhood. Whatever is in the neighborhood is a it reflects back in the society, in the town. What reflects in the town reflects in the state. What reflects in the state reflects in the country. And so as a whole, we even whatever happens, like basically the core was like whatever is happening in the family is the same thing happening in the country. So when there is a feeling of unity and all and connection and all of that in the family at a core level, then that's how the country is also united, and vice versa. So when the country is struggling with something, it's basically the families in the country are also struggling with those things, and that's why those values are being like affected. And overall, we see a bigger picture. The core message was everything starts from within the family, and that is what is reflecting outside as a country as a whole, as such, or as a
Yeah, it's
community.
the
So
unified whole
the
that we
message
discussed
of the
that
book
day
also.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did I share that the other day also? I don't remember.
No, only this unified whole we discussed. This the example you didn't give. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no problem. I just remembered that, and that has stayed with me. Like I could connect with it. Actually, it's so true, right? Like
Yes, the
if you
same
see
he was saying
few
regarding
years
colors
back,
that we see different colors, white, black as separately and not as unified whole.
yeah, because if we see now, like even like if we see like few decades back, if we compare, the family systems were so different, and now that's how the country and people and everything were there, because values come from families, right? As we are raised, and now it's so different, right? Now with nuclear families and things changing, everyone in mobiles and connections missing. That's how we see that everything, those connections and everything is missing out in the society also, right? It's very, it's like a mirror as such. So yeah. So yeah. Anything else? Anyone want what to add or share? Any different point? Anything that you just remembered also? That's okay. Please feel free. Okay. I think we are already done with the discussion because of the topic was repeated. Maybe tomorrow with a new topic we'll have more discussion. I think we are all. Anything anyone want to add? Otherwise, we'll then close for the day then. We'll just continue with it tomorrow then. Sorry for the glitch actually. I had bookmarked it actually, but I thought
Okay,
I
okay.
haven't because the page was shifted. Maybe it was just meant to be read for some of the others who were not there that day.
Yeah, it's good we have
Yes,
done
yes.
revision.
Yeah. Okay. Tomorrow we'll see that, and for me this it's just one more night to go, like the fifth night, and the book will be over. And I think we can also practice the last part that is given, like the exercises that they have given at the end. That also we can do. Maybe if we have time, we'll do that also together, reflecting upon it maybe after the reading. Let's see how it evolves. Okay,
Yeah.
then thank you everyone. See you all tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Just try joining in sharp so we can start early and we have good time for discussion and reading. Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye. See you all.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone. Bye
you.
bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.